It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
What is more important than even money? Your time.
It's the scarcest resource I think that we all have, right? Because it's the one non-renewable resource. Every second that passes is a second we're not getting back. Every minute that passes is a minute we're not getting back. So we ought to treat it pretty preciously, right?
It does seem like we take it for granted, and this also creates the second opportunity. I brought up we both contributed something to this show. You brought up that you said you saw it on Instagram, whereas all the innovations and companies that didn't exist before 2007, which was kind of striking because these are things we use on a day-to-day basis now, and they weren't even here less than 15 years ago. Meanwhile, we've been podcasting for longer years, since 2006. I wanted to pivot because what I had brought to the content team like maybe a day or two before this is perfect because this is an ad, I believe it's from 1991, and it is Radio Shack. For all of our podcast listeners who can't see the visual that's on YouTube right now, this is a Radio Shack ad probably on like a Sunday paper, and it shows computers, it shows mobile phones, it shows calculators,
CD
CB radios, speakers, camcorders.
Telephone.
It's got recording of devices. It's really a who's who of all the electronics. Because if you were a nerdy kid like me, you know which store you wanted your parents to take you to?
Radio Shack.
Because they had remote control cars.
That's what I remember. The RC cars.
They had RC cars. They had little project kits where you could build. They had computers. I mean, it was if you ever needed something, some type of gizmo, Radio Shack was your place. But what's really unique is, and you said the most expensive thing on this page is that computer, a big old bulky computer there. And FT Daniel, I can't remember. What did we say that memory was on there? Because we'd blown it up so we could look at it.
I think it was 20 megabytes, wasn't it?
It was 20. And realize we have the cards that are in each of our cameras that we're recording this show on right now are like, we figured out it was like hundreds of times bigger than this entire computer was able to do. And that computer was $1,600 back then. So you could add up everything on this page and you can do every bit of it with your smartphone.
It's unbelievable. What used to would be take an entire page of an electronics catalog. Now we don't even think about. We walk around with it in our pocket every single day.
So now you would look at this. If they brought this, not that people are using newspapers, but it would. It's so
funny. This is a Radio Shack ad, which I don't think exists anymore, inside of a newspaper, which also almost doesn't exist.
But every
anymore.
one of these things would just be a different app on your phone.
That's exactly
because
right.
that's what all the apps we think about. Think about how much has changed with everything that's happened. We had Instacart, which brings groceries to your house.
Yep.
You got Uber and Lyft, which you don't even need a car if you don't want to.
That's
you
right.
can just go get a ride. Meal delivery and ordering. I mean, I can tell you, we have a food box come to our house every week with 2 meals for my family. It's like a date night twice a week with me and my wife. I love cooking with her.
How about the big smiley face boxes where you can order anything on? By the way, the other day I ordered something. My wife needed some envelopes for a little business deal. I ordered it and it was there at 8 a.m. in the morning. Like it took less than 6 hours to get to our house. I don't even know how that's possible. But
that means you must live next door to the Amazon distribution facility.
The guy who drives the truck must be my neighbor because it got there fast. It was unbelievable.
Well, and I use a bill pay service. I mean, it's just like I use a PayTrust service, which all my bills are electronically go to this company, and then I have all kind of payment rules. All these things have made my life so much easier. And think about the way we gather information. I mean, managing time, you used to have to read everything. If you needed a new book, you'd have to go to a bookstore. And then we even thought it was great when Amazon was this service where you ordered books and they were delivered to your house. Now everybody has Kindles and phones and things like that. Podcast. I mean, It really was 2006. I knew it was revolutionary, and look what has happened. It really has. Now everybody has a podcast. If you're a financial advisor, there is so many services trying to tell you have to have a podcast. And then look at YouTube. YouTube is now a search engine. I think everybody who's under 35 years old, you don't go to Google. You go to, there's a reason Google bought YouTube, as they recognized it.
Unless your name is Rebecca at moneyguy.com, you don't go to Google, you go to YouTube.
And then, of course, Google being the largest dominant, search engine out there. All that stuff has changed. But let's talk about, though, How do you do this right,
Sure.
though? Because time is so important. You said it was a scarce resource. You know, you get to my age, you get more sentimental about things. So how do you make sure you're doing this right? Use your smartphone as a time saver to create extra margin or opportunity to do things with what's important for you.
Now, that may sound just so simple. Like, what are these guys saying? Use your smartphone to save time? Duh. I think it's one you have to be very careful of because I think about all the people that I interact with in my daily life who don't actually use this tool in their hand at their disposal to save time. It actually does the exact opposite.
Well, I feel a little convicted when I was even writing this. I mean, I'll tell you, even at church like 2 Sundays ago, my wife gave me a hard stare. And it was one of those, you're like, oh, she's talking. My phone probably is my overlord to a little bit,
Sure.
is because even on vacation, I want to have access to information. I will tell you, this thing is a great tool for creating more ability and efficiency to do things and get them done. But man, does it keep you connected at all times. So it has kind of become my overlord, and it's something we all need to be mindful of. But you need to also think about it as what's important to you, what's your time worth, and how do you maximize what is important to you? Because I think that is what these things are designed for. You know, at least that's what they say they're designed for, but we have all gotten kind of addicted to them. So just make sure you're using them right.
Absolutely. It's amazing if you do recognize how you can use these tools. You really can streamline your life just a little bit. I mean, I think about we at my house, we have 2 little kids, right? You know, young children. Going to the grocery store used to be a really hard thing because I don't know if you've ever pushed, I know you have, but for you out there, listen, have you ever pushed a kid through a grocery store and you got them sitting in the cart? These little hands just jump out and pull stuff in. And like, then you'll have to go to the bathroom 16 times. And then one of them will start crying and then you won't get them a cookie and they'll lose their mind. We recognized that, man, what used to be a 3-hour endeavor going to the grocery store, we can sit down and spend 30 minutes on Instacart, just kind of ordering our food, have it delivered. There's some value to that. There's some, if my kids would be crazy, I'd rather be crazy at the playground than crazy in the grocery aisle. And that was one way that I just think that's a small example of how you can use some of these things to add efficiency to your life.
Makes me think of like the Darius Rucker country song, "You're Gonna Miss This."
Yeah, that's what everyone keeps telling me.
Because that's what I think about some of my favorite memories. Y'all gonna think I'm a kook after you hear this. Thursdays, even when I'm in like high school, think about like freshman Brian before he was driving. Come home Thursday, whole family go to the grocery store.
So that's like a fond memory for you.
15-year-old Brian was in the grocery store with the parents too. And, you know, my dad was a box label reader. He'd read everything. So you could play as a kid, be like, is he going to really read every one of these labels? He was just the guy who would do that. But now that he's no longer here, that stuff, but I think you're right. I
but see, now I feel kind of guilty because I should be making this a better
event. No, because you might be in the backyard doing something even more productive. You know, here's the thing. Find what is important to your family. Spend time with them because, like I said, time is a scarce resource. None of us, especially in these odd times we're in now, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. So make sure you know what your why is, know who's important to you, and know what makes you happy, and go do more of it. No, I was not trying to make you.
No, I love
it's just,
it.
But hearing you tell that story, it made me think a little bit because, you know, you just never know what quirky little thing is going to be the fond memory that, you know, makes you smile when you think of that loved one.
What I think is remarkable is when I think about the history, I know that back, this is when you first started the podcast, even before then, you wrote like a little newsletter. And I think you even did a column in a newspaper where you would share financial information. And then you came up with this idea to do a podcast. So you started recording and it was audible and you put it out there and that kind of grew. And then you said, you know what, let's add video to this. And so we incorporated it in YouTube. Our commitment to you guys is as the technology of this world changes and we have more platforms to get great information into your heads, into your hands, into your headsets, we're going to keep doing that. If you haven't had a chance yet to go to our website, moneyguide.com, go to our website, click on the resource page. One of the things we're doing right now as a content team is trying to put together really great resources that you can use in your everyday life, whether it's spreadsheets, PDFs. We have one that's coming out in the next week or two that should be available. The only way you're going to know if that information's out there, if you go out to the website, give us your email address so you can stay up to date when we're providing more content for you guys to use and consume.
Wow, hearing you say that made me think that Howard Stern's got some competition because I have done radio, I did newspaper, radio, podcasting, YouTube, I haven't done like traditional TV other than just interviews.
Hey, we'll get there.
But man, I tell you what, made me feel like, wow, Renaissance man. Fortunately, I'm only good. I have a face for podcasting, and YouTube kind of came about because we got hired by Progressive Commercial to do content, and they kind of dragged us into this, but it worked out. I mean, so that's awesome. That's the other part about getting old. You get wisdom through experience, and you realize, man, this time on this earth is pretty sweet, so make the most of it. And guys, we couldn't do this without our love and appreciation for everybody out there in the Money Guy family. The Abundance Cycle, you come, learn, apply. We're just going to give it away to you. I know that sounds crazy. When I go to conferences, when I first started sharing that I was doing this podcast, about you're just giving it away. Like, yep, we're just giving it away. And now our cup overfloweth with relationships because you guys know, you remember who planted the seeds to give you the structure. We got a great email today from a gentleman thanking us for his growing family. And that stuff, you have no idea. That is just rocket fuel for us to just continue to make content. It's the Abundance Cycle. We work with clients in 41 states. Yep. Just reach out, moneyguy.com, aboundwealth.com. We're going to keep doing it. We're having a blast. And we'll just keep being Brian Preston and Bo Hansen. Money Guy team out.